Chosen one, awaken. What I'm about to share with you is not just another message scrolling past your screen. This is a divine summons and ancient truth whispered through time, arriving in your life at this very moment by no accident. If you're here, it's because the hand of God has guided you through every turn, every tear, every inexplicable longing to hear this now. Breathe and lean in closely, because this is not about religion, it's about revelation. It's about you finally remembering who you truly are and why the world has fought so hard to make you forget. Have you ever felt like something inside you was always just different? Like there was a spark in you that others couldn't quite explain? Maybe you've sensed things before they happened, or felt deeply connected to people's emotions, even strangers. Maybe you've spent years trying to fit in and still felt like you were meant for something more. And now is the time to uncover the truth the enemy never wanted you to find. To awaken the divine blueprint written into your spirit before the foundations of the earth were ever laid. The signs were always there. The dreams that lingered longer than sleep. The intuition that led you when logic failed. The pull toward deeper truths when the world told you to settle for the surface. These weren't coincidences. They were echoes of your calling, a sacred reminder from heaven that your story was never meant to be ordinary. So listen closely, because once this message reaches your spirit, you'll never see your life the same again. The pain will have purpose, the rejection will make sense, and even the silence from heaven will begin to sound like strategy. But be warned, only the awakened will recognize the voice behind the words. If you're still here, if something deep inside you is stirring, burning, resonating, then you already know you were chosen. Let's subscribe and comment 999 below if this message finds you. Now come with me. Let's journey deeper into the truth of who you really are, into the story they never wanted you to hear, into the fire that's been waiting to rise within you. From the earliest moments of your life, even before you understood what it meant, the signs were already present, gentle, quiet whispers woven into the fabric of your existence. Not everyone noticed them. In truth, most couldn't. But they were subtle yet powerful reminders that you were never meant to live an ordinary life. While other children found joy in fleeting distractions, your soul searched for meaning in the unseen. Your thoughts strayed to mysteries others didn't dare to ponder. You felt things more deeply, sensed more intuitively, and saw through layers of reality that those around you seemed blind to. There was a quiet knowing within you, even if you couldn't put it into words. You observed the world not from the center of it, but from a place just outside, where the deeper truths whispered louder. While others laughed freely, your heart picked up on the sadness behind the smiles. You heard the ache in someone's silence, noticed the shift in a room's energy, and felt the weight of emotions that weren't even your own. It was as though your spirit was tuned to a different frequency, one aligned not with noise and distraction, but with meaning, purpose, and divine communication. And that's because, whether you realized it or not, God was already speaking to you. Long before you knew his name, he knew yours. Jeremiah 1:5 echoes this eternal truth. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. This wasn't just ancient poetry. It was your reality. Heaven has already written your mission into your spirit. But when the world met your depth, it didn't understand. It labeled you too sensitive, too emotional, too serious, too quiet. The world tried to tame your light, shape you into its mold, convince you that different meant defective. But different never meant broken. It meant called. Like the prophet Samuel, whose journey began in childhood with the voice of God, whispering his name in the dark. You may have heard the call long before you recognized its source. Samuel didn't understand who was calling him until someone guided him. Maybe no one guided you. Maybe no one told you that the way you see, feel, and think isn't strange, it's sacred. But still, the call never stopped. It echoed in the moments of stillness, in your dreams, in the tears you couldn't explain, in the longing you've always felt for something more. You've never been ordinary because ordinary was never your destiny. You were set apart for something extraordinary, and deep down, part of you has always known. Let's be honest, being chosen doesn't always feel like a divine gift. More often than not, it feels like loneliness. You've likely felt it for as long as you can remember, A quiet ache that comes from living in a world that doesn't quite see you for who you are. It's as if your heart was wired for deeper waters while everyone else was content swimming in the shallows. You're the one who listens when no one else does, the one who gives even when your own soul is running on empty. You've shown up for others time and again, even when you were silently breaking. And the hardest part? Few seem to notice. You've loved without condition, and yet love hasn't always been returned. You've carried burdens that didn't belong to you, sat with others in their darkest hours, and offered pieces of yourself to heal wounds you didn't cause. And somewhere along the way, you may have asked yourself, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel so much? Why do I always seem to be the one who cares too deeply, gives too freely, hurts too quietly? But chosen one, hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. This is divine preparation. The intensity of your emotions, the depth of your compassion, the strength you've had to build just to survive, it's all part of the refining process. God doesn't choose people who blend in. He chooses those who are willing to be set apart. And those he sets apart, he refines, not to harm them, but to purify them. Like gold in the fire, you have been tested, not to be destroyed, but to be revealed. You've been shaped in secret, strengthened in silence, trained in places where no one applauded but heaven watched closely. And if you've ever felt like your journey is harder than most, it's because your calling is greater than most. Even Jesus was rejected by his own people. John 1:11 tells us, he came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Moses fled into the wilderness. Joseph was betrayed by the ones who should have loved him most. Being misunderstood doesn't mean you're lost. It often means you're being hidden for a time, preserved for something sacred. The world cannot recognize what heaven has concealed, but God is lifting the veil. What once felt like rejection will soon be revealed as redirection. You were never meant to be like the rest because you were chosen to lead. Every rejection you've endured, every door that slammed shut in your face, every time someone walked away or failed to see your worth, it may have felt like punishment, but it was never that. It was positioning. What appeared to be loss was actually divine alignment in disguise. When people pushed you out, it wasn't because you weren't enough, it was because God was calling you higher. When plans unraveled and the life you thought you were building began to fall apart, it wasn't destruction, it was redirection. While you were crying over what didn't work out, heaven was quietly clearing the path for what would. And though the pain was real and the confusion deep, behind the scenes, God was protecting what he planted inside you. The rejection you faced didn't come to break you, it came to free you, to release you from relationships that could not carry your calling, to cut off paths that would have led you far from your purpose, to strip away everything that was never meant to go with you into the next season of your life. God was not withholding something good, he was preparing you for something greater. Sometimes we cling to people, places, or plans because they feel familiar, even when they no longer serve our growth. But God, in his mercy, will allow the wrong doors to close so that the right ones can open. He'll let you be misunderstood, overlooked, even betrayed, not because he wants you to suffer, but because he's setting you apart. And in the midst of it all, even when you couldn't feel it, God never left. He was there in the silence, in the questions, in the heartbreak, whispering, "Trust me, I'm doing something you cannot see yet." What you thought was the end was actually the beginning of something more aligned with your true identity. Rejection was the tool he used to carve away the excess, the distractions, the lies others placed on you. It was heaven's way of saying, that's not who you are, and that's not where you're meant to be. So if you're still holding on to pain from doors that didn't open, or people who didn't stay, let this be your release. God never wastes your hurt. He redeems every piece of it. And when the time is right, you'll look back and see with clarity. Every no was a sacred yes in disguise. You weren't being cast aside. You were being called higher. There is a kind of person whose heart naturally leans into the pain of others, who can sense unspoken sorrow in a room, feel the weight of someone's silence, and offer comfort without needing to be asked. This is not simply kindness. It is not just compassion. It is divine empathy, a sacred gift woven into the soul by the Creator himself. For the chosen ones, this gift is both a compass and a calling. It directs their steps toward the hurting, the lost, the overlooked. It causes them to feel deeply, not as a curse, but as part of their purpose. The world may not understand such sensitivity. It often mislabels it as weakness or emotional fragility. But in heaven's eyes, this is one of the most powerful traits a person can carry. Empathy is not softness. It is strength, cloaked in gentleness. It is spiritual discernment expressed through love. Those who carry it are not just emotional beings, they are healers, intercessors, light bearers in a weary and burdened world. Galatians 6:2 speaks directly to this divine assignment. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. To bear the burdens of others is to live like Jesus, to move through the world with a heart that sees what others miss, that feels what others hide. Chosen ones often walk through life unnoticed by the world, but fully seen by God. They are the quiet supporters, the secret prayer warriors, the ones who stay long after the crowd has left. It reaches into the unseen and lifts what others cannot carry. This is why chosen ones feel so deeply, because their calling is to heal deeply, to bring God's presence into the places that ache the most. And though it may leave them tired, unseen, or misunderstood, it is this very gift that makes them a reflection of God's heart. To love like this, to feel like this is not a flaw. It is proof that heaven trusts you with the wounds of others. It is the mark of someone chosen not just to see, but to heal. Some dreams leave behind a haunting clarity, vivid impressions that refuse to fade with the morning light. They linger in the soul, echoing like whispers from a place beyond the physical world. These dreams do not feel ordinary. They speak in symbols, stir something within, and often carry a message that can't be explained away. For the chosen ones, this experience is not uncommon. God often speaks to his people through dreams, bypassing the mind to reach the heart directly. In the stillness of night, when distractions fade and the soul is most receptive, heaven sends insight, guidance, warning, revelation, even confirmation. It's a sacred line of communication that has existed throughout Scripture and history. Consider Joseph, the dreamer in Genesis 37. His visions showed him glimpses of greatness long before he held any power, long before anyone took him seriously. In fact, his dreams caused envy and separation. But what others saw as fantasy was, in truth, prophecy. The very dreams that isolated him became the foundation for his rise to leadership in Egypt. What seemed confusing at first was actually preparation for a destiny far greater than he could have imagined. That's the nature of divine dreams. They're often misunderstood, even by the dreamer, until the time comes for their fulfillment. If your dreams feel unusually vivid, filled with meaning that tugs at your spirit, it's important not to dismiss them. God may be revealing glimpses of what's to come, preparing your heart, or answering prayers you haven't yet voiced. The realm of the Spirit is always speaking, and for those who are chosen, dreams become a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Some dreams come as warnings urging you to shift direction, break a cycle, or avoid danger. Others bring peace, comfort, or confirmation that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And some, though mysterious, are seeds of vision planted by God, waiting for the appointed time to bloom. The more you pay attention, the more clearly you'll begin to see. Your dreams are not illusions, they are invitations. Heavenly clues that you are being guided, guarded, and grown. So write them down, pray over them, seek God in them, because when heaven speaks in dreams, it's never without purpose. There were moments when everything around you seemed to crumble, when the weight of life felt too heavy, and all signs pointed toward collapse, but somehow you endured. What should have broken you only refined you. What should have taken you out instead lifted you higher. These moments weren't coincidences or streaks of good fortune. They were evidence of divine protection, God's invisible hand shielding you, covering you, guiding your every step. Psalm 91:11 declares, "He will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." And that's exactly what he's done. You've been spared from things you'll never fully understand. Accidents that didn't happen, relationships that didn't work out, delays that frustrated you but ended up saving you. Every closed door wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Every unanswered prayer wasn't silence, it was strategy. God's protection doesn't always come wrapped in the comfort we expect. Sometimes it comes in the form of detours, delays, or even disappointments. But make no mistake, His hand has been upon you from the beginning. For the chosen, this protection is not about privilege or perfection, it's about purpose. There is a divine mission encoded in your spirit, and heaven has been preserving you for it. The enemy may have tried to derail you, but God intervened. Time and again, He stepped in, sometimes subtly, sometimes miraculously, to ensure you stayed on course. You're still standing not by accident, but by divine design. And if you look back with spiritual eyes, you'll see the fingerprints of His mercy all over your story. From a young age, there was a stirring in your soul that couldn't be silenced, a quiet yet persistent hunger for answers that ran deeper than surface-level explanations. While others were content with what they were told, you felt compelled to ask questions that made people pause. Why am I here? What is my purpose? This deep yearning has followed you through the years, sometimes whispering in quiet moments, sometimes roaring in frustration when life didn't seem to match what your heart knew was possible. Proverbs 25:2 reveals, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search it out." In other words, some truths are hidden not to keep them from you, but to draw you deeper into the search. That spiritual longing is no accident. It was placed in you by the Creator Himself. You were never meant to live on autopilot, never meant to blindly accept what others say is true. You were designed to search for wisdom, for truth, for divine meaning. This hunger inside you is holy. It's leading you, guiding you, shaping your journey. And no matter how far you stray, it always pulls you back to center, to your purpose, your calling, your true identity. The deeper you search, the more you uncover. And the more you uncover, the more clearly you begin to see. You were born to seek something eternal, and you are closer than you think. Fitting in has never felt natural, and that's not a flaw. It's a clue. There's a reason why you've always sensed a quiet distance between yourself and the world around you. It's because you weren't created to mirror it. You were created to transform it. The thoughts you carry, the way you see life, the burden you feel for truth, justice, and something more, it all points to your calling. You weren't meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to lead with light. Romans 12:2 reminds us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This isn't just advice, it's your identity. God didn't design you to blend in. He set you apart, knowing the fire inside you would one day illuminate places that others are afraid to enter. You are a disruptor of darkness, a voice for the voiceless, a carrier of glory in a world desperate for hope. That feeling of being out of place? It's not rejection, it's redirection. You've been refined through trial, shaped by seasons of silence, and made resilient through the battles you never asked for. All of it was preparation. You are a vessel uniquely crafted for divine purpose. While others chase approval, you are being called to carry presence. While many settle for comfort, you've been chosen for courage. Your difference isn't something to fix, it's something to follow. Because in the very space where you feel most unlike the world, you are most aligned with heaven. The atmosphere shifts when you walk in truth. You weren't made to echo the noise, you were made to carry a sound from above. And now the world is waiting for what only you can bring. Everything you've walked through, every silent battle, every heartbreak, every unanswered question, and every tear you've cried in the dark has been leading to this. None of it was wasted. None of it was meaningless. You weren't being broken, you were being built. You were being shaped in secret so you could rise in strength. Your journey has never been random. The pain you've carried has been part of your preparation. The delays you've endured were divine pauses, not denials. Every closed door was a redirection towards something higher. And now your spirit can feel the shift. Something within you is waking up, rising with purpose, ready to step into the identity that's always been yours. This is the moment where remembrance meets revelation, where you stop wondering why it happened and start understanding what it was all for. Isaiah 61 proclaims, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This is your time to rise, not in pride, but in purpose. The weight you've carried is lifting. The vision is becoming clear. The fire within you is no longer meant to be hidden. God is unveiling what He always saw in you, and soon the world will see it too. The same light that heaven planted in you long ago is beginning to shine in full strength. You are no longer who you were. You are who you were always meant to become. And now, chosen one, the time has come to remember not who the world said you are, but who God has always known you to be. So as you walk forward from this moment, do so with boldness, do so with faith, do so with fire in your soul and purpose in every step. The world tries to bury you, but they didn't know. You were a seed, and now it's your season to bloom. Let the world see what God has placed inside you. The best is not behind you. The best is about to begin. Chosen one, can you feel it? The veil is thinning. The line between the seen and the unseen grows faint. Heaven is stirring. A shift silent, sacred, and unstoppable is shaking the foundations of both earth and eternity. To those who are spiritually awake, this is not mere emotion, it's recognition. Something greater is unfolding, something eternal. You were not meant to blend in. You were not made for small things. From the dawn of time, before you ever drew breath, you were marked by heaven. You are one of the 144,000 set apart, sealed, and called for such a time as this. This message is not for the masses. It is not for those still distracted by comfort or blinded by the false promises of this world. No, this message is for you, the one who has always felt different, the one who walked through fire and did not burn, the one who was rejected, broken, misunderstood, yet never destroyed. Now the four angels have arrived, and they bring four holy revelations, not just words, but divine orders. These are not gentle reassurances. They are wake-up calls from heaven itself, meant to activate your soul, shake off the dust of delay, and set you ablaze with holy purpose. If your spirit bears witness to this truth, don't scroll past. Comment 777 below as a declaration that you are ready. Subscribe now so you never miss a divine revelation, because what's coming next will awaken something eternal within you. Are you ready to hear them? Because once you do, your life will never be the same. Message 1. Look into your life. The first angel speaks not with a whisper, but with a voice that cuts through the fog of deception like a blazing sword. The world has deceived you from the very beginning, he declares, and as his voice resounds, the illusions that have long masked your vision begin to tremble. From the moment you entered this world, you were handed a script, a set of rules, an identity you never chose. You were told what to want, who to become, what success looks like, and how to measure your worth. The world clothed you in expectations, draped you in distractions, and buried your divine essence beneath layers of performance and pressure. But now, the veil is being torn, the illusion is crumbling, and the time has come to see clearly. You were never meant to fit in. That persistent ache in your soul, the quiet dissonance, the feeling that nothing here truly satisfies was never a flaw. It was a signal, a divine alarm sounding from within, telling you that your spirit was forged for something far more sacred. You were not created to conform to systems rooted in control and chaos. You were born of heaven's breath. You are not of this world. Jesus made it plain in John 15:19 when he said, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world." That verse isn't just a comfort, it's a call, a reminder that your discomfort here is holy. It's evidence that you've been chosen for a reality beyond what you see. The world sells success wrapped in glittering chains, wealth without rest, influence without purpose, and noise that drowns out truth. You were never meant to pursue these shadows. Look at Moses. He had everything the world could offer. Raised in Pharaoh's palace, surrounded by gold, status, and power, yet his soul was restless. His destiny didn't begin until he turned his back on comfort and stepped into the unknown. Only in the wilderness did he hear God's voice clearly, or consider Malcolm X, once bound by systems designed to destroy him, until his awakening shattered every false narrative. He saw through the lies, rejected conformity, and embraced the truth no matter the cost. That same truth is now knocking at your door. The first angel urges you, strip it all away. The labels, the expectations, the lies you've internalized about who you are and what you're worth. Who are you underneath it all? What remains when the applause fades and the masks fall? The answer is not emptiness, it's revelation. You are not a mistake. You are not broken. You are not too late, too small, or too far gone. You are chosen. You are set apart by God for something eternal. That aching within you is not weakness, it's calling. Heaven's fingerprints are all over your life. This is your moment to awaken, to shake off the chains of counterfeit purpose and rise into the truth of your divine identity. This is not the time to play small. This is the time to remember who you are and who you are. The world may never affirm you, but heaven already has. So listen closely. The veil is lifting, the illusion is fading, the first angel has spoken. And the truth is this: you were never meant to blend in, you were always meant to rise. Message 2. Stand apart. The second angel steps forward, and his voice burns with the fire of truth. He speaks not with condemnation, but with clarity, cutting through the confusion that has long haunted your heart. The rejection you faced was never a curse, he declares. It was confirmation. Perhaps you spent years asking yourself why you seem to make others uncomfortable, even when you say nothing at all. Why people have misunderstood you, turned cold without warning, or walked away when all you did was stand in your truth. But here is the reason. The light within you disrupts the darkness they've made peace with. Your presence alone becomes a mirror that reflects what others are trying to avoid. It is not your flaw. It is your fire. This world cannot love what it cannot tame. It celebrates the familiar, the compliant, the ones who echo its illusions. But your spirit was not forged in conformity. It was shaped by something eternal. You were never wired to follow the crowd. You carry a frequency that cannot be decoded by broken systems. That is why the world has mocked you, mislabeled you, and tried to silence your voice. Not because you are unworthy, but because you are called. Jesus himself said in John 15:18, "If the world hates you, remember that it hated me first." Look back and you'll see the pattern. Joseph wasn't hated because he failed. He was hated because he dreamed. His vision disturbed the limitations of those around him. His rejection was not his downfall. It was the road to divine elevation. Think of Nikola Tesla, whose mind sparked decades ahead of his time. The world couldn't grasp his brilliance, so it discarded him. Yet history now recognizes what once was dismissed. Or Oprah Winfrey, abused, silenced, doubted. Yet her voice rose to become a beacon for generations. Her pain didn't bury her. It prepared her. And now it's your turn. The second angel challenges you not to fight for a seat at a table that was never built for you, but to build your own. To stop apologizing for being different. To stop minimizing your anointing to make others comfortable. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. The rejection wasn't the enemy's victory. It was heaven's strategy. Every misunderstanding, every silent room, every closed door was God setting you apart, not pushing you away. The world will never understand what heaven has hidden within you. That's not failure. That's evidence of divine selection. You were not meant to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were not created to conform. You were designed to challenge the atmosphere. And when you walk boldly in who you are, you become the very sign this world has been waiting for. The time for hiding is over. The world may never fully understand you, but heaven celebrates you. Your light was not meant to be dimmed. It was meant to disrupt. So stand apart and stand firm. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to shift everything around you. Message 3. Obey without delay. The third angel speaks, and this time, his voice doesn't whisper. It thunders. It shakes the ground beneath your feet and echoes through the chambers of your heart. The hour of hesitation is over, he declares. Obey now without delay. You've already heard the call. The signs have been undeniable. The stirring in your spirit hasn't gone away. Doors have opened. Dreams have awakened. The voice of God has whispered, then shouted, then waited, but still, you linger. Still you hesitate. You wonder, am I ready? Is this really my time? But hesitation is not harmless. It is the enemy's most subtle and effective strategy. Every second spent doubting, every moment of delay, every excuse made in the name of caution is a piece of ground surrendered. Ground that was meant to be yours. Blessings that were meant to be claimed. Territory heaven intended you to occupy. How many divine appointments have passed you by while you were waiting to feel qualified? How many miracles have gone unclaimed because you were looking for the perfect moment? But hear this, God never calls the qualified. He qualifies the willing. Moses stood before the burning bush trembling, his voice filled with self-doubt. Who am I to go before Pharaoh, he asked. But God wasn't concerned with Moses' limitations. He was focused on his promise. Gideon hid in fear, convinced he was the least, the weakest, the most unworthy. Yet God called him a mighty warrior. Esther feared death, questioned her strength, and nearly stayed silent, but her obedience saved a nation. They did not wait until they felt ready. They moved, and because they moved, heaven moved with them. You don't need more confirmation. You don't need another prophecy, another open door, or another reason. You already have the word. Now what you need is obedience. Ecclesiastes 11:4 warns us, whoever watches the wind will not plant, whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. In other words, if you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, you'll miss the very harvest you were born to gather. Chosen one, how many moments have slipped through your fingers while you waited for clarity? But faith has never been about certainty, it's about trust. Trust that God goes before you. Trust that even when the path is unclear, the promise is secure. Think of Peter, stepping out of the boat into crashing waves. He didn't wait for the storm to stop. He stepped out in obedience. He walked on water, not because he had it all figured out, but because he had enough faith to move. Or Elon Musk, surrounded by doubt, scorned by critics, standing at the edge of risk. But he acted, and his vision reshaped the future. Or Mother Teresa, no funding, no strategy, no safety net. Just a heart surrendered to the will of God. Her obedience became a light to the world. Obedience doesn't just honor God, it unlocks the miraculous. The third angel isn't giving you gentle encouragement. He is roaring from heaven's throne. Move! Step forward! The door's open, but it will not remain so forever. Time is not waiting for your fear to resolve. Destiny is not pausing for your doubts to settle. Heaven is in motion, are you? This is your moment, not next year, not when everything makes sense, not when the fear disappears. Now there is a breakthrough on the other side of your obedience. There are souls waiting, lives hanging in the balance, destinies dependent on your yes. So stop watching the wind, stop measuring the clouds, step out, step forward, and don't look back. Heaven is already moving. Message 4. Speak the truth. The fourth angel appears, and his voice is pure fire, a blazing call that sears through the silence. You were not chosen to be silent, he declares. You were chosen to speak. His words resonate with the authority of heaven, reminding you that your voice is not mere noise, but a mighty weapon, forged in the crucible of divine purpose and refined by the flames of truth. From the very moment you were formed, God infused your spirit with words meant to break the chains of bondage and awaken generations. Your voice carries the weight of heaven. It is an instrument of transformation. The enemy has long sought to silence you, to shroud your message in fear, but those attempts have been in vain. For the truth that lies within you is indestructible. It was not meant to be hidden behind whispers or muted by caution. You are not an echo repeating the tired refrains of this world. You are a trumpet, a clarion call that demands attention and stirs souls from their slumber. You were not born to blend into the background of mediocrity. Rather, you were created to proclaim the eternal truths of God's kingdom. Just as Jeremiah hesitated, saying, "I am too young," only to be met with God's resounding affirmation, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you," so too must you rise beyond your doubts. And like Martin Luther King Jr., who boldly proclaimed that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, you must not remain mute in the face of injustice, falsehood, or spiritual darkness. Now is the time to open your mouth and let the fire within you speak. Declare the revelations that God has impressed upon your heart without waiting for the world's applause or understanding. Do not be paralyzed by the fear of misunderstanding, for your voice speaks for the kingdom of heaven. Each word of truth you utter is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of human hearts, destined to yield a harvest of transformation. Every time you speak truth in faith, the very heavens tremble. Your voice, when lifted in honest proclamation, carries the power to break the chains of deceit, to shatter the barriers of oppression, and to pierce through the darkness that envelops this world. You were not created to whisper meekly when you were destined to roar with the sound of divine authority. This is your fourth revelation. Declare, proclaim, stand. In a world where silence in the face of deception is akin to consent, your refusal to remain silent becomes an act of rebellion against the forces of darkness. You were born to stand against the tide of falsehood and to be a beacon of unyielding truth. Do not allow the enemy's lies to dampen your spirit or force you into the shadows. Instead, rise boldly and let your words be as sharp and as brilliant as the sword of the Spirit. When you speak with conviction, you carry not only your own truth, but the truth of heaven itself. The four angels have spoken. You have heard heaven's message. Now, chosen one, it is no longer about whether you are worthy. It was never about your qualifications. It has always been about your willingness. Will you rise? The kingdom of God is not waiting for perfect people. It is calling available hearts. Your hesitation serves the enemy. Your obedience shakes hell itself. Today is not just another day. It is your threshold moment, the crossing over into who you were always meant to be. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I come before you with a heart surrendered and a spirit open. You have chosen me. You have called me. Before I was born, you placed your fire within my bones. Forgive me for the times I doubted, for the moments I hid. Today I step into the fullness of my calling. I will not wait for the world to affirm me. I will not fear their rejection. I belong to you alone. Give me boldness like Elijah. Give me vision like Joseph. Give me courage like Esther. Let your voice flow through mine and your light shine through every word I speak. May my life be a trumpet of truth. May I never be silent again. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. The time is now. The 144,000 are awakening. The chosen are stepping forward. The warriors of light are taking their place in the divine story God wrote long ago. And you are one of them. Don't wait. Stand, speak, obey, declare. The world needs your fire. Heaven has already given the call. Now it waits for your response.